Thank you for joining us for this streaming edition of Denver 7 News at 5. I'm Jacqueline Allen.
And I'm Jason Grenauer. Thanks for joining us on this Saturday. This evening, hundreds of protesters gathered at the state capitol, demanding justice for 6 people facing charges after demonstrations in Aurora earlier this summer. Tensions flared in July during protests for racial justice in Aurora. Prosecutors say some people in the crowd went too far and are responsible for inciting a riot. Those demonstrations came amid renewed calls for justice for Elijah McClain. He died last year after being detained by Aurora police and given the sedative ketamine. As his family pursues justice in that case, they have called for any protest to remain peaceful.
Today, protesters began gathering at the state capitol around noon. The crowd is now hundreds strong.
Denver 7's Sloan Dickey is live in downtown Denver. Sloan, demonstrators say these arrests are meant to intimidate people and shut down their movement.
Yeah, that's what the protesters here were saying. Several hundred people were gathered here earlier. They have dispersed a little bit now, but those protesters were gathering to say they want that release of those officers, of those protesters, the 6 protest organizers related to those rallies earlier this summer. Now, the officers, as you mentioned, said that they were organizing rallies that made protests turn violent. However, the protesters here say it was a political move and they're demanding their release.
Power to the people! Power to the people!
2 days after the arrest of 6 protest organizers,
we fight for every oppressed person.
Hundreds gathered to speak out at the Drop the Charges rally in Denver.
And we absolutely condemn the politicized, retaliatory arrests and charges that are being brought against peaceful, nonviolent protesters.
The 6 arrested organizers were part of a group called the Party for Socialism and Liberation. The group organized many gatherings this summer in connection to protests for Elijah McClain.
It was coordinated out of the blue. They seized, bagged them, all at the same time.
The Aurora Police Department have charged the 6 with numerous felonies, including inciting a riot, false imprisonment, and attempted kidnapping.
We know they locked up our leaders in order to sow fear in our community.
Protesters on Saturday said the arrests were political.
They're trying to paint the individuals and the movement as violent, when it's not.
Denver 7 has not heard from Aurora police on the arrests, but in a statement, officials say during the protests in Aurora on July 3rd, the officers were trapped inside their precinct for 7 hours. Officials also saying, quote, there's a difference between a peaceful protest and a riot. Organizers of Saturday's protests, however, say they will be back out again.
What you're doing works, and keep on doing it. We will not be silent
until their message is heard.
We need to have people out in the streets, and that's what we're going to keep doing until they're all released.
Now, we have not heard yet when those 6 organizers will arrive in court, but if convicted, the felonies could lead to several years in prison. Jason?
Sloan Dickey tonight. Thank you.